Welcome back to the channel. I'm Daniel, and for the purposes of this episode, I am a fitness enthusiast, and yeah, it's a bit of a clickbait title. Yeah. So, if you'll notice in the title, it is a question, not a statement. I am not against muscle failure. I'm against the name. I am against that. It's a horrible name. I'm not against muscle failure. I'm not against training to failure. Um, this is a question about what happens during failure. Momentary muscular failure. Actually, not just momentary muscular failure, but certain kinds of workout. This is a question I think only one person that I can think of can answer. This is a question directed to Dr. Doug McGuff. He is the only person I know that is both intimately aware of HIIT, high intensity training, of the effects of high intensity of training, both from training clients and from training himself. Um, he is also an emergency room physician, and he definitely knows the symptoms and recovery of what I'm talking about. So, um, first of all, I am not talking about central nervous system burnout or adrenal burnout or anything like that. This is not that. This is an immediate effect I'm talking about, immediate occurrence. First of all, a lot of old time hitters will be familiar with this. They'll know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about this effect. Let's start with Drew and his redhead friend in Wisconsin. He tells a story of when he was training, when somebody would watch him train or watch other people train, and and somebody would say, "Oh, it doesn't look still, doesn't look good, doesn't look good." And then Drew took him through a workout, and of course, the guy was toast for easily a couple hours, if not most of the day. And I have been now when I say toast, it, okay, I'll get into that in a moment. I have been through such a workout. The very first time was my interview workout at Gainesville Health and Fitness, and I think I experienced it a little bit here. Um, Steve Maxwell has talked about this. Who else? Oh, Jay Vincent in his one of his recent postings mentioned he had a client come back from working out, go through a couple of exercises, and may have had this experience. Um, First of all, yes, I'm talking about shock. My question is, does high intensity training initiate shock? Does it stimulate shock? Or is it maybe even borderline shock? And let's talk about what I mean. When you go through an experience that induces shock, there is a traumatic occurrence to your body, to your mind, mostly to your body, and there are specific symptoms. Really quick, if you want, open a browser thing and look up symptoms of shock, and then compare that to the symptoms if you have felt it. I doubt actually many of you have, but if you have, after a tremendously impacting, over impacting maybe, hit workout, if you feel similar effects. And then look up how long does it take to recover from shock. The interesting thing is, it takes about the same amount of time to recover from shock as the HIIT recommendations for going to your next workout. So, this is my question. Are we recovered muscularly before we have recovered from shock? Has our muscles recovered from intense exercise a good bit, or maybe even long before our entire system has recovered from shock? Is the recovery process of what we have been talking about all this time less to do about muscularity and more to do about recovering from shock. I don't know. I am not saying that's what this is. Definitely not. This is a question. I have a suspicion it might be, and I'll get more into that, I guess. Um, the type of workouts that some of these things initiate are based upon what's called a metabolic conditioning workout, the kind of workout that was done at West Point. You move from an exercise to exercise. You perform it as intensely as possible, each one, and you move from it as quickly as possible. You get a natural buildup of all kind of things. But most of the people who have been from this, who've been through this type of workout, um, whether on purpose or by accident, it's physically devastating. Um, you get at first uh, what I call helmet head. And anybody who knew me before in the hit world, this has probably gone around. You're, you start to get your ears sound like they're getting blocked. Then you start to get a little lightheaded, and you want to continue. You don't want that part of you that has, I have strong character. I can work hard. I can work through this. Don't do that, please. Don't. You continue working, and now your blood is starting to leave your stomach. It's going to the muscles. It's starting to leave your head. It's starting to leave your lungs, and it's going to the muscles. It's going where it needs. And you start to get even more lightheaded, uh, and then you may have to run to the bathroom and puke. More than once, you'll probably be dizzy. If you, after a workout, cannot remember your address or your phone number, there's a problem. Don't be doing workouts that hard. It's not necessary. And I don't mean don't go to failure. That's a different thing. But what we talk about here on uh, uh, comparing shock with the effects of this kind of workout, it's a question. And I want people to really, really think about this. When we work as intensely as possible, is it similar to an intense experience physiologically? Car accident, uh, disaster emergency, fire, active shooter, whatever. Your body undergoes a tremendous amount of flushed with hormones and chemicals and all kind of things. Is that what this is? Is that what's going on? Are our muscles inducing shock to the rest of the body? And have the muscles recovered before the rest of the body's recovered from shock? That's the question for Dr. McGuff. If Dr. McGuff says no, this is not shock, I'm done with it. I will never bring this up again. It's question solved, problem solved. Like I said, he's probably the only one who can truly answer the question. Let's go a little further with this. Let's for a moment assume I'm correct. I'm probably not. I know that. I got it. I'm probably not. But let's just for a moment assume that this is correct. What does that mean? Does that mean hit is invalid? Does that mean we shouldn't train to failure? No. No to either one. First, first of all, it would be very difficult to research this effect. I don't think it could be done, at least. I really don't think it could be done. There's not enough people who are able to train that hard and who are willing to put themselves through it for the purposes of research. No, I don't think it could be researched. So this has to be a theoretical mind question. The West Point project showed that this effect can be trained. In other words, and I've trained clients this way, slowly, incrementally increasing their effort, decreasing the time between the equipment, and increasing their metabolic condition, so to speak. And after maybe 2 or 3 months, you can take a trained client through one of those workouts perfectly fine, and they are ready to go do something after. Somebody who's not been through it, they are going to probably have to go home and go to bed. It's pretty devastating. So the West Point project what showed that this effect can be trained out. So that it can be trained out tells me maybe it's not shock. I don't know. I still think if it's a if it I still think it's shock. Might I don't believe it. I think it might be. Let me explain this right. Um, I do think that this can be, even if it is, it can be worked around. Um, we can read if necessary, we can redefine the moment of termination of a set or of an exercise or of a workout as that point right before you start feeling the lightheaded, the helmet head, and all that stuff. We can use these moments to say, okay, there are no more. That's it. Um, it's possible also that some people are susceptible to this and some are not. It's possible also that the same person on a different day may have a perfectly good workout and on another day go into shock if that's what it is. So it may not be a consistent thing, but I seriously want people to think about this. Again, this is a question for Dr. McGuff. Are all these stories I'm talking about, these we like to pass these stories on between each other and to tell other people about it. I remember mine, how I called after like I said, I went and puked after my interview workout, and I had uh, the third interview after it, and I'm just in mental fuzz, which I thought was an effective truth serum for the interviewer. Um, I hope, first of all, I don't think these kind of workouts should be done. Whether or not they're effective, they're not necessary. It may make you feel get a little bit of revenge sometimes on people who don't understand what's going on, but at the same time, I think it's probably not a good idea. Anyway, seriously consider it. Take a good consideration of it. Um, Pretend for a moment that it's true. And how would you, as a HIIT trainer or a HIIT trainee, how would you work over, around, or through it? Um, that's the question. Again, Dr. McGuff, I hope you hear this and I hope you consider it. And I look forward to your answer and I will accept it either way. Thank you.